Okay. Audio is turned on. Hello and welcome everyone to the Saturday night chill stream of the the Untitled Anarchist Seagull channel. I'm the Untitled Anarchist Seagull, and I managed to get this whole thing set up without having my mouse run all the way to the most inaccessible corner of under the bed and cause me to be late. So I'm a bit chuffed about that, I won't lie. Get a little bit of rapid going. Okay, Nails 45:17, and we're going to have to go with some pits. And I was just harvesting my chud content farm, also known as my YouTube recommendations. And in addition to the wonderful, disastrous septic tank of material that we found over on Fosh's channel, I found some potentially very interesting stuff to hate watch elsewhere. But I'll let that be a surprise. We can... Yes. Castling. Wangum namu nungum musane shimosu. Okay, get ready to flanquero the bishop. His headphones are cutting in and out annoyingly. Okay. Let's deny that square there. No need to let that knight get settled in an advanced position. Okay. Let's just keep making it a little bit harder for these knights to find advanced squares for them to be showing up in. Add a defender to my light squared bishop there. Okay. That's annoying. Okay, this position is beginning to look a little bit less attractive than it did a minute ago. Okay, I don't think that's actually necessarily particularly bad for me. Well, not worse than this position already is. Let's see, I mean... I'm down a rook and a pawn. So none of it's necessarily particularly great, but... improvement is possible. All I have to do is... find a way to get some compensation there. Okay. Yeah, this... I wouldn't say that this is strictly an improvement in my situation. No, that sucks. Actually, I think I like having this pawn here. It is providing a bit of a break on the queen from this current situation. So I don't think I'm going to be trying to take it. Oh shit, why did I just do that? Please don't notice that I just did that. Oh, of course. Okay. Let's... Yes, I've had better games of Rapid than this, and recently at that. Definitely want to avoid any possibility of forking both of my bishops. I have got the bishop here. That is like the one halfway decent thing you can actually say about my position at the moment. The bishop pair offers possibilities. Of course, it turns out a queen, a rook, a knight, and a light-squared bishop may indeed be at least equivalent to the bishop pair. But there's always possibility that someone stuffs up. Oh, hell. Yeah, these bishops are also... Oh! Their Discord comes up again. I had somebody in comments saying I really ought to start up a Discord server. So one has conversations there. And nothing to apologize for, obviously. Okay. Yes, all you've really missed is me completely blundering practically all of my important pieces, and yeah, I know, I was joking. I know that it's those things. I've just never really... Oh, interesting. Never really gotten into it. And now I wonder if maybe it might be... Oh, shit. Yeah, that's not good. Okay, I have a feeling this game isn't going to be going on for much longer. Ah, headphones cut off again. You know, somebody who I've occasionally seen in comment threads on other people's videos was on the comment thread for my stream from last night saying that I really ought to get it. So, I'm curious. Oh, wow, this is really starting to suck shit. Okay. That's mate in one. Yeah, okay. Good game. GG. Maybe do a little bit of the Geoguessr. Among the harvest today from the chud content farm. Okay, this looks pretty much like US, I'd say. Is Bill Maher claiming that the left left him? That's everybody does that, but I didn't realize he was ever actually on the left. So, yeah, that's going to be a very interesting digital stool sample to sort through. Yeah, I mean, in a very vague sort of a way. Yeah, he didn't like George W. Bush, and his absolute, like, crowning moment was when he got sacked from his show for suggesting that maybe, you know, a suicide attacker is showing more bravery than somebody who's just pushing a button on a cruise missile from thousands of miles away. Which, yeah, I'd say so. I mean, the cruise missile operator is at no personal risk at all. But, I mean, even then, his big thing was misogyny. Like, I got into him from a little bit back in those days, back in, like, 2000, like, around 2003, 2004, that area. And, you know, because I'd heard him saying some decent stuff about George W. Bush. So I started, like, downloading his stand-ups and stuff, and God, that was just, I mean, it's like hating on George W. Bush and then misogyny. And then he made Religulous, which managed to, nobody in this country, as far as I could tell at the time, seemed to notice that he had one of the leading far-right figures in the Netherlands on there as a supposed expert on Islam. And it's just been sort of downhill from there. At some point, for a while at least, he was a germ denialist. Claimed that Louis Pasteur had made some sort of a deathbed confession, as if that would change anything. Oh, hold on. We've got a sign of some kind. Kilometers. Kilometer 62 on something. Okay, so not the US. My feeling is it's going to be Brazil. Because I don't think I've ever seen a kilometer sign like that in Canada. And oh, yeah. Yeah, when he first had a show, there was, like, occasionally pretty good stuff on it. I mean, what, we're talking, like, 20 years ago. How's my audio, by the way? You hearing everything okay? Oh, come on. You gotta give me a sign other than just a kilometer number. Oh, hold on. Thank you. I got a sign. Red clay. Fazenda Brilhante. We are in Brazil. Oh, beaut. Yeah, that's funny you say that, because I like have sort of a mild version of that myself. Because, I mean, I have the hardest time recognizing the face of somebody I've only seen once, if they're totally out of context. Like, I have to have seen somebody 4 or 5 times and really have a very clear set of associations, or I totally don't recognize them. And I've had some absolutely horrible situations happen where somebody who's I ought to recognize sees me on the street, says hello, and I have absolutely no recollection of who they are. They clearly expect that, you know, we've had some sort of a very nice conversation, and I end up feeling a complete asshole because I'm getting nothing, and they haven't stopped to think maybe I don't recognize, maybe I don't recognize them. And even though I do kind of make a point every time I meet people, it's like, I'm gonna have to ask you, I'm probably gonna have to ask you who you are a couple of times. Like, I mean, I had one time, this is when I was in Wales, I'd just gotten back. And I'm at my favorite cafe, which unfortunately no longer exists. They moved to Buckinghamshire. As one does. But I was standing outside having a smoke, having with my coffee. This woman comes up to me. And she's like, "Oh, hello." And I'm like, "Hi." Not recognizing her at all. And she's like, "Oh, it was a terrible thing about Moxie." And I'm like, "Mark? Okay, now I haven't worked out who you are, and now you're bringing Mark into it." And yeah, I mean, a guy that we both knew, very well known in, like, the South Wales left, had died shortly after his father had. And she remembered me. We'd, like, I don't know, we'd seen each other at some party, some drinks thing or something like that. We'd been introduced, we'd clearly talked. And she was actually fairly distraught. And I'm sitting here like, okay, you've mentioned, between you and the person you've mentioned, I am having absolutely zero bells rung. And trying to find some way to, I mean, oh God. And then the other wonderful experience is there are lots of, like, street hawkers in Britain, like people who walk around, like, flyering and shit. More than here. I haven't really seen this much here, but you see people, like, even Kentucky Fried Chicken as fucking street hawkers. You'd think that enough people have heard of them by now that they could give that a rest. But so this woman from about 30 feet off waves at me, says hello, as I'm walking through town, just doing my, like, weekly shopping. And from a distance, she looked like a couple of women I know. And she said so, hello so heartily, like she was really happy to see me. And I'm thinking, so I figure, okay, this is clearly this is going to be somebody I know. And so I reciprocate, thinking I'm going to be enlightened soon enough, and no, she was just trying to sell me a fucking discount package for this, like, spa hotel thing, and she wasn't anybody I had ever met. You gotta be, okay, this is just, okay, someplace in Brazil. Holy shit. In a country as big as Brazil, 253 miles off? That's pretty good. Okay. Okay, no points for guessing what country this is in. Okay. God, this actually looks like this could be around here. Let me see. Shorty's lunch, no. Well, hello, Mask of the Red Death. How are you? We were just talking about the joys of prosopagnosia. Oh, no worries. I was late yesterday because I lost my mouse. And I was almost early the day before because I didn't know what fucking day it was. 724 area code. That means nothing to me. Prosopagnosia is where your brain can't really handle faces. West 844. I believe that's a Pennsylvania. I believe that is a Pennsylvania state route sign. Like, I don't have it, like, full blast. But I have it bad enough that I experience much awkwardness. Oh, Altoona, home of the worst regionally named pizza ever. What is it? 844. Big Run. Delancey. That's where Q lives. Yeah, exactly. Or if you're used to seeing somebody say, let's say you always meet somebody at a cafe. Oh, yeah, fuck off. There are some things that it's actually really easy to tell if you have. Route 666. $872. It's like, let's just leave aside the fact that self-diagnosis sometimes is actually pretty reliable because the condition is just very easy to identify. Like, if you like get your hand smashed in a car door, you can and you say, yeah, I think I might have broken some bones in my hand. That's self-diagnosis, but you got a pretty good chance of being right about it. But I mean, in a country where you really have no idea whether you're going to get any chance to ever go to the doctor when you need to, it's self-diagnosis is often all you've got. Oh, I was right, Pennsylvania. Just the wrong part of it. It's in the Perry-Pittsburgh. Oh, Latrobe. You get a lot of Latrobe place names in Australia. $819 Vandergrift. That's a International Convention of Scammers is held there in Vandergrift. Actors I have much less trouble with. Because I almost never see them out of context, I think. I'm always seeing them in a show, and specifically in the show I expect to see them in. Socksman Funeral Homes. That's a great name. I can imagine their advertisements. Yeah, my grandma died. Oh, that sucks, man. Yeah. Slickville. They're competing with Vandergrift for the Scammers Convention. Ah, 118 miles. Not too bad. And here we go. Garanti BBVA. Taksim. Okay, we are Yeah, we are in Turkey. In fact, I believe we are in Ankara. Taksim Square. There were huge protests there a few years ago. Still are. Ankara Adalet Sarayı, Kurtuluş Parkı, Atatürk Kültür Merkezi. Pechenik Döner. Oh, I could go for a donut. I haven't had one of those in fucking ages. I like to think that I could put mine to good use by not recognizing politicians when they come canvassing. Just give just a little bit of an ego poke. Ankara Hastanesi, Kızılay Kitabevi. Well, let me just make sure it isn't actually Istanbul. Kabul. Taksim. That's what it was. Hello, the Schlendrian. Yeah, you can't get them around here. I mean, you can get some decent shawarma around here. There is trying to remember Taksim Square. Is that where they had those huge protests a while back? Taksim Meydanı. Oldu. There we go. Yes, İstanbul'da Taksim Meydanı var. Galata Kulesi, Taksim Meydanı. This may actually be the best result I've ever gotten for a turkey one. 1.6 miles. Okay, we've got a sign first up here. Nice. Let me see, what does it say? Speed limit. Okay, we are in the US. Yep, there's a speed limit sign and it's rectangular and says speed limit on it. Which, there's only one country in the world that does that, and we're 3 miles away from Concordia and 62 from Kansas City. Oh, scuffed road surfaces like this you can find all over Canada, too. Okay. Of course, there are 2 Kansas cities. But only one that's going to have a Concordia right next to it. We are the I-70. Okay, I believe, anyway. Concordia 3, Kansas City 62. Okay, I think we can solve straight away here. .6 miles. Okay. Okay, my guess is to start out that this is not the US. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm thinking somewhere in Asia. Definitely. Kind of not thinking Japan necessarily. Though you do have a lot of woods like this in between the cities. Oh wait, is that one of those mirrors? Okay, yes, this is Japan. Takarayamashi. You can... Japan always... Every corner where there's even the slightest concern about visibility, you find these mirrors everywhere. Which I think is actually a really good idea that they should implement elsewhere, so that you don't have to crane your neck for the side view. Okay, so Takarayamashi, I think. Trouble with Japanese place names is that the kanji for place names have special readings. So if you look at a railway station there, Nagayama, Nishiyama. So like if you go to railway stations, they will always have the name in hiragana too, because a lot of the time, even native speakers would have absolutely no idea if they had to guess. Because the readings are often very unconventional. It's just, sometimes it's like it's an Ainu name that they're trying to do a phonetical rendering of. Okay. Nihon Yutsuro. I feel like this is someplace in the Chubu area. Just because the road looks kind of familiar to me. Although. Wakayama, Sakai. I've seen them in private car parks in the US. I've never really seen them on, like, just public roadways. What was that? Oh, no, that's fire hydrant. Okay. Oh, hold on. Fire department. Nihobundan. Second division of the fire department. Jibie shokudo. Oh. Apparently there's food coming up. Another way you can tell it's Japan is it's like the only place that has triangular stop signs. Do not enter. Forest of the 21st century. Yeah, well, it's specifically for no entry for motor vehicles. But yeah. This does not help us on our quest to figure out where the hell we are. Okay, there's a hot springs though. Nagaya Onsen. And I think we got some maps. Mawari michi no go annai. Ah, there's roadworks on. And there's a detour. Nagaya Onsen. Nagatani. Yeah, it could be very specific, or Toyama, that's how it's pronounced, Toyama. Or that could be a program they're having everywhere in the country. Toyama. Okay, Osaka, Kobe, Tokushima, Ehime. They have a very interesting dialect in Ehime, I've recently found out, just from watching the show Japan Sinks on the Netflix. I spent one night in Tokyo, and we stayed in a hotel that was 100% underground. Toyama! Here we go, Toyama. It's its own prefecture, too. My room was on floor 10, which was 10 floors underground. Kahoku... 北陸新幹線 OK 岐阜のすぐ下に八尾町菅平hold on, let me see. 菅平。剣、盾。42 miles, not bad. And with that, we're going to move into the chud content portion of our evening. Let me just nudge that volume up. A little bit on there. Bill Maher, I haven't changed. The left has. This is going to be a short one.
It's not me who's changed. It's the left.
Yes, it's true. He always sucked. He's very consistent in that. He's sucked for as long as I've been aware of him.
Who is now made up of a small contingent who've gone mental and a large contingent who refuse to call them out for it. But I will. That's why I'm a hero at Fox these days.
If you're a hero at Fox and you're aware of this, that should be causing you to reconsider a few things. Okay, so let's hear, what's he gonna call us out on?
Which shows just how much liberals have their head up their ass, because if they really thought about it, they would have made me a hero on their media.
It occurs to me that maybe You think this might be? This isn't going to get me a copyright strike. Now I'm seeing that they're taking, but they're. Well, I mean, it is technically fair use. I'm criticizing and parodying and whatever, but. He's actually worse than that, I think, because the thing about hello Phoenix Rising, by the way, because. Like, he doesn't even talk a good game. I mean, half of his stuff is just explicit. Well, yes. Although, actually, I have won on some copyright shit on YouTube, I should note. We're wondering the same thing Bill Maher is. It shouldn't be heroic to call out the insanity of the left. It doesn't require abandoning liberal values. Which is, of course, why two far-right billionaires are subsidizing this channel.
It's not my fault that the party of FDR and JFK is turning into the party of LOL and WTF.
Yeah, that's an interesting choice of... So what we're meant to believe here, apparently, that PragerU would be down with FBR's policy agenda. You know, apart from the concentration camps. I mean, they'd probably be down with that. But like the Fair Labor Standards Act and shit, I don't see them backing that.
Members of Congress tweeting things like cancel rent, cancel mortgage, and no more policing or incarceration.
Well, let's leave aside that they're only tweeting this stuff, but yeah, cancel rent, cancel mortgage, cancel student debt in the middle of a fucking pandemic that has left millions of people in threat of eviction. That actually seems like a... Well, I mean, I'm for it even when there isn't a pandemic, mind you. I mean, fuck landlords, fuck student loan sharks, fuck mortgage loan sharks, but, I mean...
Declaring that capitalism is slavery. Canceling Lincoln and Dr. Seuss, teaching children their...
Wait. Canceling, by which is meant that it's pointing out that he had fucking seriously racist caricatures in some of his books that also happen to be some of the books that hardly anyone reads anymore. Yeah, I'm not seeing the problem either.
Oppressors and math is racist. Making Mr. Potato Head gender neutral.
No. God. I mean, it's like he's just decided to pick the menu of, right-wing outrage items and just go through them. Potato Head, all they haven't changed anything about Mr. Potato Head, if anyone gives a fuck. They just changed the name. It already was gender neutral.
And now an emoji for pregnant men.
Oh, wow, acknowledging that, that trans men exist. Well, gee.
Real. I'm not making it up.
Well, you see, what I love is that he's acting like... Yes, it's a yeah. But, I mean, he's acting like this is out there to acknowledge that trans people exist when he denies that germs exist. He is actually on record as a germ theory denialist and an anti-vaxxer. You know, with the left drifting away from liberal... Well, I mean, you have to drift away from liberalism to be the left in the first place. So the idea is here, he noticed that there are people who aren't liberals and also aren't chuds. Yeah, not seeing the problem.
Do you believe in free speech? Do you believe that people should be judged by their character, not their skin color? Do you believe in freedom of religion?
Do you believe in asking leading questions that are designed to set up a conclusion that in no way follows from your answers to them?
If you believe these things, you're probably not a progressive. You might think you're a progressive. I used to think I was. My show, The Rubin Report, was originally part of the Progressive Young Turks Network.
Which, I mean, they named themselves after genocide, which is kind of cute.
Progressives struck me as liberals, but louder. Progressives were the
Yeah, and they're not even that. They're just liberals, but they realized that liberal wasn't polling well because liberals suck shit. So then they decided to call themselves progressive to try to smear themselves onto the left a little bit longer.
nice guys. They looked out for the little guy. They cared about women and minorities. They embraced change.
And Smurfs.
Short, who wouldn't want to be a progressive? But over the last couple of years, the meaning of the word progressive has changed.
Well, I mean, and there's some truth to that because when you look at the way that the term progressive, it would. That was when he left the liberals. I mean, when I first started hearing progressive used, it tended to mean sort of to the left of mainstream liberal. But then sometime around like 2008, 2009, that shit ended with Hillary Clinton declaring herself a progressive. And at that point, there was just nothing left of it. If Hillary Clinton can identify with the term, then that term has lost all positive meaning.
Say, I may disagree with what you say, but I'll fight to the death for your right to say it.
No, actually, that's Voltaire. He wasn't a progressive. He wouldn't have called himself a progressive. I don't think the term existed at the same time he did.
Not anymore. Banning speakers whose opinions you don't agree with from college campuses, that's not progressive.
Banning mouse?
Prohibiting any words not approved of as politically correct, that's not progressive.
Really? I mean, what? Okay. But what's your definition, though? Okay, so what he's done here is he's come up with he has taken the hollow format of a dictionary definition, not provided one, just had a Voltaire quote unattributed, because I mean I guess they're still a little bit pissed off at France over Iraq over at PragerU or whatever. I don't know, but yeah, exactly. I mean, this whole idea, and anytime I see leftists or people who claim to be leftists acting as if the right has a point that they're being censored, it's like they're the ones doing it. Steven Salaita, George Chicharello Meyer, I mean, who got had his tenured position threatened because he made fun of a neo-Nazi talking point?
Putting trigger warnings on books, movies, music, anything that might offend people.
So, wait. What in that... Okay, even accepting that the Voltaire quote, unattributed, is an accurate definition of progressive. Like, that was a complete definition, which, it wasn't. Yeah. A u was nie grozny человек. Yeah. Even accepting that, what exactly does pointing out to people who have PTSD that what follows might cause them some difficulties related to having PTSD, how does that even contradict the Voltaire quote?
That's not progressive either. All of
Based on what?
Has led me to believe that much of the left is no longer progressive, but regressive.
Ooh, burn.
This is one of the reasons I've spent so much time on my show talking about the regressive left.
Yeah.
This regressive ideology doesn't judge people as individuals, but as a collective. If you're black or female or Muslim or Hispanic or member of any other minority group, you're judged differently than the most evil of all things, a white Christian male.
Okay. What? Yeah, I mean, this is made in... this is made on so many different levels of bad faith. Because first you've got this ridiculous non-definition of progressive, then a list of things that he's just declaring aren't progressive based on nothing, and... So the idea is that he's gone over to the right wing because the right wing does not judge people as collectives unless they're shooting them?
The regressive left ranks minority groups in a pecking order to compete in a kind of oppression Olympics. Gold medal goes to the most offended. Martin Luther King Jr.'s dream.
Oh, yes, we had to... Of course, he's going to shit all over Martin Luther King. I mean, that's sort of a requirement.
That his children would be judged by their character and not their skin color was a liberal idea, but these days it's not a progressive ideal.
Yeah, except that's not... That he said other things. If you want to interpret what he said, maybe look at the other things he said, because he had specific ideas. All of them the right hated then and hates now. And the sector of the right wing that hates them has actually expanded to the point where actually more or less the entire Democratic Party is completely happy with throwing the shit overboard, to the extent that it's even remaining. Yeah, no shit.
And what about religious freedom? The idea that no one else can tell you what you have to believe. Surely...
Yeah, you mean, for example, by forcing you to pray in schools, or, I don't know, swear a religiously formulated oath of loyalty to the state every morning, or...
Progressives still support that basic right. Well, not so much. I'm a married gay man, so you might think that I appreciate the government forcing a Christian baker or photographer or florist to act against their religion in order to cater, photograph, or decorate my wedding.
But they don't have to provide those services. Yeah, they were in his "Hey, I Have His Dream" speech. He also had some things to say about white moderates, I seem to remember.
You'd be wrong. A government that can force Christians to violate their conscience can force me to violate mine. If a baker won't...
That assumes that he's got one. I haven't seen much evidence yet.
You a cake, find another baker. Don't demand that the state tell him what to do with his private business.
Yeah, I mean, so wait. This was literally the argument against the Civil Rights Act in the first place. This still is the main argument against the Civil Rights Act, because a lot of the justification for segregation back when it was very explicit was Christianity. This is literally the kind of argument that these people were making against ending Jim Crow like 50 years ago.
I'm pro-choice, but a government that can force a group of Catholic nuns, literally called the Little Sisters of the Poor, to violate their faith and pay for abortion-inducing birth control.
That's not actually what happened. And they're the ones who decided to get into healthcare.
Force anyone to do anything. That's not progressive, that's regressive.
Regressing from what, though?
Progressivism has become a faux moral movement hurling charges of racism, bigotry, xenophobia, homophobia, Islamophobia, and a slew of other meaningless buzzwords at anyone.
Wait, they're meaningless, are they? So they don't actually mean anything. Yeah, exactly. None of this. It's almost pointless to even pick this stuff apart, because they will abandon it 5 minutes later if it happens to be convenient for the next bullshit argument they're making.
They disagree with. The battle of ideas has been replaced by a battle of feelings, and outrage has replaced honesty.
And this is being demonstrated by Dave here by his outrage video here.
Diversity reigns supreme as long as it's not that pesky diversity of thought. This isn't the recipe for a free society, it's a recipe for authoritarianism.
And I know that because oil billionaires have paid me to believe this. And there's nothing more free about than a society where oil billionaires get to decide what ideologies will get represented. Yeah, I know. I mean, he's acting like this is some sort of a new thing. I mean, this annoyed me when liberals were doing this with the post-truth thing in 2016. Yeah, exactly. I mean, but here we're trying to do scuba in a mud puddle. This depth, we're trying to plumb depths that do not exist.
For these reasons, I can no longer call myself a progressive. I don't really call myself a Democrat either.
Well, gee, I'm shocked. I mean, you're on partisan Republican media pretty much exclusively. I was almost certain that you are a big fan of AOC, given that.
Classical liberal, a free thinker, and as much as I don't like to admit it, defending my liberal values has suddenly become a conservative position. So if you think people should be able to say what they think without being punished for it, that people should...
Wait, what was that? What the fuck was that image there? So,
my liberal values has suddenly become a conservative position. So if you think people should be able to say what they think without being punished for it...
wait a second, okay. That's supposed to represent somebody being punished for something that they think? Because as far as I can tell, what happened is that he said what he thinks, and the person listening is the one harmed. And they're both Smurfs, for some reason.
That people should be judged by their behavior, not their skin color. And that people should be able to live the way that they want to live without government interference.
Yeah, I mean, we could really see their belief in judging people by their behavior, not by their skin color, by their position on Kyle Rittenhouse.
Then there's not much left on the left for you. I'll keep trying to...
You haven't even brought up the left yet, dude. Maybe it's slightly to the left of you, but that actually doesn't mean much.
Explain that to progressives until I'm totally left out. I'm Dave Rubin of the Rubin Report for Prager University.
And here, let me just show you something. So this is just a total bait and switch that they're doing with their viewers. Because there's nothing in here about Dave Rubin. It's Bill Maher. I haven't changed. The left has. And all you get is like 30 seconds of Bill Maher and then just Dave Rubin. And they don't even mention Dave Rubin on the title of the thing. Oh, holy shit, not even in the description either. Dave Rubin is the laxative that they're sneaking into your brownie. They're giving these right-wingers a nice Bill Maher brownie, and there's a Dave Rubin X-Lax in the middle of it. Okay. See, the thing is, I don't actually know enough about Genghis Khan to know where he would even be on the political compass. I mean, I don't know anything about what he had to say about the means of production, just that he thought that he should run a whole lot of territory, which distinguishes him not very much from... yeah, I know it's a figure of speech, but it's one that I'm always kind of curious about. As it happens, Genghis is actually a very popular name in Mongolia. And Attila is pretty big in Hungary, too. Okay. So, we've got some more PragerU, or we've got some more from the Fosh Pit, where we put our septic tanks. Any preferences? Non-compete's video on me is worse than I thought.
So anyway, as some of you may know, I recently single-handedly defeated what would you call it? Non-competes, pro-Nazi talking points.
What? This guy. Which, I've reacted to a couple of Zan videos. I'm sort of skipping around. Because I did the Xanderhole video, where he actually totally stands Foch's... Well, which one? Which one are we talking about? There sounds like there's a specific one you have in mind, and if you've got a recommendation, I'm there for it. I'm just sort of going to this one by default, but if there's one that you think that would be good, we can pop it on here. Oh, on top of... You mean on top here? Or on top of the playlist. So let me see. Oh! Want to do that? We can do that. No, I have not done it yet. Let me see, where was it? Good faith interviewer. What a dishonest fuck. Answering your questions. Wait a second, where did it go? Ah, here we go. Yeah, let's do it.
Is left-wing YouTube dying? Is BreadTube, as they say, dying? And is the online right, as Turkey Tom goes on to say, going to see a resurgence? Are we going to...
Okay. Anyone know who Turkey Tom is? I mean, that sounds like one of Jason's family members from The Good Place. This is the one with the next anti-SGW wave.
See just a big jump in right-wing content, right-wing popularity online, and is BreadTube going to die? I think yes. I am fully convinced yes, and I'm going to explain why.
Okay, this is going to be interesting. Yeah, he does. And what's interesting is that he's an opportunist. So when he's saying this, I mean, there was another video of his from like a few weeks ago where he was acting like he said something like he actually thinks it's a good thing that there's some sort of ideological shift where occasionally the far right is in ascendancy every 4 years, and leaving aside that cycle, that isn't quite how any of that works. But I thought it was kind of telling. The mysterious... Okay, and who's the mysterious Mr. Enter? I mean, that sounds like a character from a cartoon teaching kids how to use a keyboard.
Hello, YouTube. Today, we're talking about Turkey Tom. Alright, now Turkey Tom is a friend of mine. I'm pretty sure I played Phasmophobia with him. I've been on his podcast a few times. We talk, we hang out sometimes. Not in real life.
Okay, this already makes me not think very highly of Turkey Tom. And that's a pity, because the name kind of rocks. I like the name. I'm feeling the name.
We've talked a little bit. We're pretty cool. We're on just generally pretty good terms. Previously...
Okay, so wait. Turkey Tom called this guy a pedo because he's a brony? Is that what I'm hearing?
When I first discovered Turkey Tom, I actually didn't like him very much, and I did a couple of response videos to some of his content. Maybe just one? I know I did at least one. I might have done two. Maybe more. I don't know. Go look. You guys can go verify that. Anyway, after talking and actually being able to hash through our disagreements in voice, since then we've been on pretty good terms, and I actually recently began watching some of Turkey Tom's second channel, Tom Dark, where he uploads a lot more, and these videos are a bit more like commentary videos that aren't...
Okay. Let's have a look. See, Sam Hyde just exposed iDubbbz. Mama Max versus YouTube. The worst commentary debate. This is a debate over whether that's Foch or Xanderhall or what? Terminally online streamers. Well, can you be an offline streamer? Does that work? New commentary channels. Taking to lyrics. The next anti-SJW wave. Okay, so that's where he gets this title.
Like they aren't as high effort and they're released way more often than on his main channel, Turkey Tom, where he puts like probably months of work into one video and he releases like a video once every month or whatever, maybe less. This is the video where he can upload like more often and just sort of like vent. And he recently uploaded a video that just really stood out to me, and I watched it on my TV in the other room.
Yeah, it stands out to me because it's literally the only one with a title I halfway understand.
So it doesn't show me as having watched it on my computer, but I assure you I watched it. And it was called the Next Anti-SJW Wave. And what he said in this video, and I'm going to play a little bit of it just to give you guys just a little bit of insight on what he said.
He's not going to give... He's never given anyone insight.
Just a lot of it spoke out to me. Now, there's a few things in there that are wrong, but I think that he is reaching the core of just an inevitable truth that
Jesus, is he hitting the microphone with his tongue?
Going to have to face in the coming year, probably, online. So is he against anti-SJW, Xanderhall? He takes a
yeah, that's anti-SJWs never went away. Yeah, I mean, that's true. I've never had trouble finding their content. In fact, YouTube has always recommended it to me, despite the fact, even before I was using them for this stream, even before I had this stream, YouTube kept on throwing that stuff into my recommendations, and I had to keep on telling YouTube to stop, not bother.
Fairly neutral position in this video. He is pro edgy humor, okay? Like, the best way that I can describe Turkey Tom's like political views, like I've talked to him about like the actual policies he believes in, like the principles he agrees with. He's fine with LGBT people, trans people, everything like that.
Well, so he's fine with LGBT people and trans people.
I think he...
Again, what does it mean to be fine with, by the way?
Probably has a problem with the internet's inevitable sanitization. I think a lot of people, myself included, are witnessing in real time the death of the internet being like the Wild West. The internet's getting...
the internet as the Wild West has died more times than Kenny on South Park. I remember people lamenting the death of the internet as the Wild West in like 1997. I remember it happening again about 10 years, like every decade more or less. Somebody is lamenting the internet dying as the Wild West. And it never fucking was that. Usenet kinda was. People were lamenting the death of it in the late 90s, though, too.
More and more regulated, more and more sanitized, and I think that he's got a problem with that in many respects. I don't think that necessarily makes him a reactionary. I think that without being a reactionary or a conservative...
See, I have to say that I totally would put stock in Xanderhall's views on who is and is not a reactionary, since he's convinced that he's not one. Yeah, I mean, the internet, I was using the internet as early as like 1994, although I was mostly on like BBSs and stuff more than anything. I didn't really have a computer that had a GUI until 98, roughly? Something like that. So I couldn't do a whole lot on it. But, I mean, even then, it was already, it was already extremely corporate. I mean, it was, you get CompuServe and fucking AOL. Or T-Online in Germany.
Joy and miss the days of the internet where you could just go hard on anybody and get away with anything. So, as you guys all...
Well, wait, those days are still there for you, Xanderhall. You do get away with anything. You said some Nazi shit just a week or so ago. And despite your entire brand being that you used to be a Nazi and are no longer one, that doesn't seem to have had any consequences for you. What is this past you're lamenting? What would you have gotten away with that you want to get away with that you won't get away with now? That's what I want to know.
No. Back in 2019, early 2019, I transitioned my content on YouTube from doing Minecraft content and like gaming stuff, and I was inspired to start doing political content. And
that was one of the world's great tragedies.
Started live streaming and doing politics, and it was insane. Back in 2019, and I'm going to say this and make it very clear, it was not hard to get like substantially large making half-assed, low-effort left-wing political content, okay?
Yeah, I know. I mean, and you can apparently maintain by making half-assed, low-effort political content. And I hope it's true, because, I mean, I wouldn't mind if I got a bit more of a following with this low-effort, half-assed political content. This isn't exactly high-effort. What I'm doing here, it isn't. But yeah, I mean, half-assed, low-effort political content. I mean, that is an accurate description. It is half-assed.
Real here. My content back in 2019 was the most half-assed, low-effort bullshit ever, and it was
really compared to your content now. How bad was your content in 2019 that this is only the second most half-assed, low-effort bullshit ever?
Was able to grow my channel quite a bit. But nowadays, the quality of my content has done nothing but go up. I've got like an editor now. I've gotten better at doing what I do, but my
what you do sucks.
Sub growth has gone down significantly, and my YouTube views have gone down significantly since then.
Yeah, because you're an asshole. There's only so many people who want to see asshole content, and your grift only works for a while. You can only monetize the fact that you used to be a Nazi for so long without offering something like worthwhile. Leftists are a bit too comfortable with fatphobia, ableism, and antagonism against non-binary people. Oh, definitely.
Days. And the same is true, at least from what I've seen, of a lot of other people in the BreadTube space. BreadTube's just not as big as it used to be back in 2019 and 2020 anymore. Now, I chalked it up mostly to
citation needed.
Election, and I think that has a lot to do with it. But after watching Turkey Tom's video, I think he makes a lot of really good arguments. And I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to let it play, and when there's something that I feel the need to comment on, I will comment on it. And I don't want to just like steal Turkey Tom's content, so we're not going to play the whole video.
Gentlemen, and welcome back to the Tom Dark YouTube channel. I'm your host, Tom Dark, and in today's video, I'm going to be talking about YouTube culture, internet culture.
Yeah, there are plenty of much higher quality and YouTube channels with much more of a claim to being leftist than anything he or Foch has ever made. I mean, there are plenty of them, you know, that are actually edited. I mean, he says he's got an editor. There's so much of his shit is just unedited streams that he just puts out there. Well, either he's too ignorant to understand them, or he's too reactionary to support them.
For a little bit, gonna be touching on something
that's in there too.
With some people behind the scenes for a long time, and maybe on some streams a little bit on like Augie's stream or something. But basically, for like a year and a half now, I'd say that I've had this sentiment that I want to express. I'm gonna outline my thoughts on it here in a digestible way, sort of a rant video, but there will be a little structure to it, and I think my points will make sense. And obviously, this will be in the stories and rants playlist. I just want to talk about the next wave of political content and my own predictions for it, how I think things are gonna go, and yeah, all that. So about 7 or 8 years ago, Gamergate happened. All right, an event which has been talked about a lot. Believe it or not, in one of my college classes, I had an entire like two lectures about Gamer.
I had a heart palpitation when he said 7 or 8 years ago Gamergate happened. I had a heart palpitation.
And Anita
Why?
Sarkeesian and the harassment that they face, if you can believe that. I was like sitting in class just basically being told about how Zoe Quinn was harassed by...
Yeah, I don't get that. What, does he mean he feels old because 7 years ago Gamergate happened? Shit. I mean, that... I feel absolutely nothing at hearing that was like 7 or 8 years ago. When I hear that, let me see, that Bachelet first got in over a decade ago. Then I feel a little bit older. He won't broaden. He has the debate pro bubble is actually, God, who did I just see? Was this on Thoughtslime? Was this somebody else who was saying that actually the debate bro mob have sort of hived themselves off, and they are actually sort of a separate, a completely different sector of YouTube than the leftist creators and the straight up right wing creators. And I thought there was something to that. This sector, the segmentation of the audience, which is why guys like this can say the shit they say, and they do not get called out by it. Incestuous and cannibalistic.
And anonymous,
don't want to visit them on a weekend.
But that's how mainstream and pervasive this stuff is now, right? A lot of people who are not internet poison, people who are not in this weird internet world, know about Gamergate in some way and are aware of it. They know about some of the names involved.
Because it was all over the media for years. I mean, this isn't an obscure thing.
And while their perspective on it and the details may be warped because they hear about it from unreliable sources or people who weren't there, the movement undeniably got so big and mainstream that it was a very, very influential event for not just the internet, not just internet culture, but culture at large. And Gamergate was really the inception of the anti-SJW and skeptic community on YouTube. I talked about these guys a bit in the video I did about Candid. I talked about the inception of the community.
Well, I mean, the inception of the skeptic community on YouTube really finally forming this... finally hiving off the sector of it that was already kind of comfortable with the far right and decided to just go right over to it.
Content because it was important to the video. When I was talking about them promoting this like fake free speech app that actually was like probably combing for data or something like that.
Come on Twitter and it's like, hello man, would you like to talk about the Dark Lord patriarchy? He's all around us, keeping us down, holding us back. It's not because we don't work hard, but it's because of the patriarchy. If you don't believe in him, he's internalized inside of you. Join our cult and we'll save you today. Can I slam the door on these people? Can I virtually just slam the door?
One of the biggest communities on YouTube just a few years ago was the skeptic community. A pretty diverse group of individuals who all collected around a few main ideas which held them and their shared audience together.
Wow, I mean, he's...
Channels like Sargon of Akkad blew up in the wake of Gamergate, a movement against...
Mango goes by...
I like how he illustrates the point that it's a pretty diverse group of individuals by showing 3 far-right white people.
Different name now, but is still around. I haven't talked to RS24 or Cine in a long time, though.
Identity politics in video games, which soon enough became a part of a greater wave of criticism against identity politics in academia, journalism, and social media platforms. The anti-social justice warrior...
Oh, you see, okay, we're already seeing... Okay, the fact that that is his framing tells me a lot about Turkey Tom. Because this wasn't about identity politics. These people are not against identity politics. They're fine with the dominant mode of identity politics in our society. Oh, I look forward to them. And feel free if you wanna advertise them on stream at all. I mean, it's not like not that I have a huge platform. If you want to put them in chat, and then definitely go right ahead and do that. Happy to signal boost that to the extent that you can call this signal boosting with the 3 people watching this right now. But the fact that he frames this as anti-identity politics as opposed to just racism and misogyny and homophobia and transphobia tells me what side of this discussion he is in fact on. And with that, we are just about to 1 a.m.
Content exploded an entire genre of channels in tandem with Sargon to the point where there were hundreds of people.
Yeah, I mean, if you can send them to me and I'll promote them on Twitter as well. I've got a hell of a lot more followers on Twitter than I have on here.
With dedicated audiences making content consistently for thousands of viewers. They criticized third-wave feminism, what they saw as forced diversity in different venues, and made fun of outrage culture for video.
Forced diversity, yes.
Video after video, collaborative live stream after live stream. And while this
wow, okay. Yes, Lauren Southern is just against identity politics. That's why to fight identity politics, she got on a boat in the Mediterranean in order to kill refugees. Yeah, I mean, totally, because she's just against identity politics. And with that, it is almost 1 a.m., so we're going to wrap this thing up. We'll come back to this hot mess on this coming Friday. Good to see all of you. Have a good night, and don't be a stranger with the links to those videos. You can... In fact, I mean, if you want to pop those into, I mean, if you want to just send them into my mentions on Twitter, or pop them onto the comment thread of this if you want when you start doing it, I mean, I'm happy to signal boost that stuff. I've always appreciated how you participate in this this stream. It's nice to have you here, and it's the least I can do, so happy to do it. And with that, good night, and hopefully have a week that doesn't suck quite as much shit as the last 104 of them.